What's up, everybody? This is Dustin with D-Link Gaming, and today we are talking to Mr. Chris Tatarian. Chris has recently taken first place at West Coast Warzone. He finished top 5 at the recent Northwest Majors. He's known for his explosive Ken Masters play, so we're really thrilled to have him on the show today. Chris, welcome. How's it going?
I'm doing great, sir. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. So I thought a good place to start is maybe you could walk us through how you got into the FGC. What first brought you in, and what games first sort of caught your eye?
Okay. I played Street Fighter 2 back in the day with my older brother. This is when I was about like 5 years old, so I really didn't have any knowledge about fighting games. I just really liked Ken because I wasn't allowed to use Ryu. My brother was the older brother, so he wanted to play Ryu. So I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of like the shadow of my brother, and Ken is kind of like Ryu's shadow. So it just kind of fit, and he honestly just looked a lot cooler to me after playing him for a little bit. After watching the Street Fighter 2 movie, when I was like 9 years old or something like that, I was like, hey, Street Fighter is kind of cool. I wonder whatever happened to the games. A couple of years go by, I moved to the United States. I started getting into competitive Call of Duty. I really liked Call of Duty. But on my 14th birthday, I went to Best Buy, and my brother saw Street Fighter 4. And for some reason, something was calling me to buy that game. I was just looking at that box like, I need to buy this game. I need to buy it. It's going to make me happy. So, I was just like, screw it. I'm just going to do it. And I had no knowledge about fighting games. I was really into shooters at the time. But I thought that it was a way for my brother and I to connect again and for us to, get a little closer play. And I bought the game, came home, played with my brother for a couple of like minutes. After he lost like 2 matches, he went back to his room. And I was like, well, this kind of sucks. I have nothing to do now. I bought the game for my brother and I. But I enjoyed the little bit of combos that I was doing, and after a year of playing it, I somehow like stumbled upon Evo. I was just on my computer, and then I saw this link, and I just clicked on it, and it was for Twitch, and it went to Evo. I don't know if it was Twitch at the time, but anyway, yeah. So I saw Evo, and I said, "Wow, people really take this game competitively. Like they're making money from it, and it looks pretty hype." So I was thinking to myself, I think I'm pretty good enough. I think I can get good at this game. So I started playing and playing and playing and playing. It was just like countless hours of playing. Go to school, go home, do my homework, play for hours. And then after a while, I just started going out to tournaments, and I just fell in love with the scene. I fell in love with the game.
Awesome. So we had Alex Valle on as our first guest in our first program. So he had a lot of really nice things to say about you. I let him know that you were going to come on next, and he said, it's been a pleasure watching you sort of come up in your work ethic from 4 to 5, just how your rise has been sort of meteoric. So I feel like it's a good transition from him to you for our first 2 episodes here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad.
So maybe you could talk a little bit about your general thoughts about Street Fighter 5. I know it's still early, but I feel like the reaction from pro players has been pretty positive thus far. It seems like a pretty different game as compared to Street Fighter 4 in terms of the tech, the mechanics, the play style, the pacing. So do you have any sort of general thoughts about SF5 thus far?
I'm not gonna lie. I hated the game at first. Like during the beta stages, I was like, man, this is not Street Fighter. Like I was just really upset with how it was headed. But then something just clicked in like beta 2 or beta 3, and I was thinking, hey, this game can kind of be legit if 2 good Street Fighter players kind of know what they're doing. It can lead to something really nice. And then the game comes out, and I'm playing it, I'm playing it. I absolutely love Street Fighter 5 now. The game is so much more fun than Street Fighter 4. I mean, landing a crush counter, it feels so good.
The sound.
The sound, it feels so, especially for Ken when he checks you in the jaw. But I mean, I love the game a lot. I love the pace of the game. It's very fast, but it can also be played very slow. And I like that. I like that patience can also lead to victory more than rushdown as well. But I think Street Fighter 5 develops somebody's rushdown a lot more than Street Fighter 4 did, because you have to find new ways to open up your opponent, read their defense, etc. But I also think that defense is a very, very key thing in Street Fighter 5. And as the game continues, as it just, Jesus Christ, what am I trying to say? Like the longevity of the game, I think that I'm gonna start seeing a lot more players play more patient and slow compared to us just very, very fast. Kind of like how Justin Wong plays right now.
Yeah, just slow,
Very
patient
patient.
footsies.
I think patience is the key to winning in this game and the longevity of it.
Nice. Awesome. How about your top five? Because everyone I talk to, there's like the three that people generally include, the Chuns, the Ryus, but
Yeah.
everyone seems to have a different final two, how they round out the top five. So what are your thoughts?
Okay. This is a very controversial topic. Um, I think my top five would be, I think in no order, like Ryu, Chun-Li, Nash, Karen. Hmm. Let me think. Vega. I think those would be my top five. Maybe Dawson for number six. But the game is still kind of early. You know, it's been a couple of months. I don't. We're still seeing. Like I think that Laura is a really good character that hasn't really been utilized to her maximum potential yet. Oh, Nikali as well. Nikali's definitely top five, 100%. I would put him over Vega. I would put him over Karen as well. Now, I think this question is pertaining to where I think Ken is in the list. See, I'm a big advocate that Ken is not top five in the game, but for some reason, everybody thinks that he's a really, really broken character. Now, I'm not saying that Ken is a bad character. I think every character in this game is good. However, when you compare Ken to other characters, in my opinion, I think that he struggles a lot more than other characters. Like I'm already counting about like 8 to 9 matchups that I'm really struggling in, and I've talked to a lot of other players as well, and they can agree as to why Ken would lose those certain matchups. Now, if a character struggles in more than one matchup, it's usually because they're lower on the tier list compared to as Chun-Li doesn't really have a lot to struggle with, so she's a little higher. You get what I'm saying? The thing is too, I played Eduardo again at Northwest Majors. We had like a first to five, and every single run that I attempted, every single run off of any normal, off of anything, he punished immediately. There was no leeway at all. I could not get away with any runs. I had to play a completely different style, a very patient, like don't take any risks type of style of Ken. And he was botting me like 4-0 before I had to make a comeback, and he eventually ended up winning the set. But just seeing what I'm gonna have to deal with as the game continues, it's just giving me more of a headache than I want. Like when people start reacting to the runs, when people start realizing that certain things are negative and that they can punish it, it's gonna stop a lot of the offense for Ken, and it's gonna have to make somebody play a lot more um, safe and patient. You can't just start off by running, start off by going in. You know what I mean? You're going to have to pick your spots. Kind of like how Momochi's doing right now, and kind of how I imagine Ken would be played in the longevity of this game.
Got it. Awesome. Do you think balance is pretty good overall, though?
Yes, yes. I think the balance is really good. Certain things are kind of broken in my opinion. Well, not broken, but just kind of unfair. Like Nash's view reversal, the fact that he can get out of the corner, like, and it's 2 bars, and he builds it fast too. He builds his V meter fast. So those are things that are kind of like it's hard enough for me to put him in the corner in the first place, but once he's in the corner, he can easily escape by blocking one normal. Like that's kind of and he gets to set his pace again. Um, Let me see. I mean, certain characters V triggers like Nikali's, I still don't understand as to why it lasts forever. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, yes, it's 3 bars, but for it to last forever, like the character is going from like average to, or not just average, a little above average, because Nikali's not a bad character without V trigger. But and then once in V trigger, he becomes one of the best character in the game, in my opinion.
Right.
He's just so much better. Just little certain things that just kind of don't make sense to me, but I think that they'd probably balance out in the future. But the game, for a vanilla version of it, for the first release, I think is spot on. Very, very well done.
Awesome. Maybe you could walk us through your West Coast Warzone experience. I know is that your first sort of major tournament you've won? I mean, I know you win Wednesday night fights all the time, but
Yeah.
that was a pretty large event.
Yeah. West Coast Warzone. I actually won 37 Reloaded back in Street Fighter 4.
Okay.
That was like the first major, non-major, I guess, because it was like people were just saying that it was a bigger Wednesday night fights, and I mean, I guess yes, but I guess for Street Fighter 5, yeah, West Coast Warzone, my first major. I'm really excited about it. I'm very glad that I got the points that I did. It kind of gives me a little foundation that I can work on in order to get into Capcom Cup. It was a surreal experience. I had a lot of fun. That grand final set was the most fun I've probably ever had playing against somebody in tournament. It was just back and forth, back and forth.
Yep.
And it was awesome. So, and it could have gone anyway. I'm not going to just sit here and be like, oh yeah, I was the better player than Eduardo. Eduardo is an amazing player. And I think that if it was one match earlier or one match later, he could have been on top. So, I mean, there was a little bit of luck on my side as well. Like, so, but it was a great experience. West Coast Warzone was awesome. It was ran very well. Shout outs to John and Kai.
What is it? Is it tough to run a gauntlet of matches like that? Like how do you stay, I guess, mentally focused when you're constantly sort of on the edge of being eliminated? You're right on the razor's edge and you're constantly thinking about a million things in terms of matchups, in terms of play styles. Like, is that something you can train for, or is that just something you kind of learn while you're doing it?
I don't think it's something that you can train for, honestly. I think that once you're put in the situation where you have to play a first to three, like a 3 out of 5 against a Dawson player, right? And then coming right after you beat the Dawson player, you have to play a Chun-Li player, and it's a completely different style. You have that adaptation from character to character, from player to player, will only come with you playing in more tournaments, with you being in those high pressure situations. You have to adapt. You don't have time to just think about it. And in the back of your mind, the hardest part is that like you are thinking about these things. You are thinking about trying to download the player, the different style, and et cetera, while still concentrating on the matchup, while still understanding what's going on as you're moving. A lot of things run through players' heads when they're in a match, and it's pretty awesome when you see somebody win. Because as a top player, you know that they're thinking about a million things every single second.
Right.
And especially, you can't count out the nerves as well. Nerves affect everybody, and that's kind of what happened to me at Northwest. I kind of choked it up pretty bad, but it's all good. It's a learning experience. That's one thing that I wanted to say as well, is when you go to a tournament and you don't perform as well as you want to, just always take it as a learning experience. Take it as you can get better from it, and not as, oh man, like I'm not good anymore, or I'm going down. So it should always be a very humbling experience. And I'm glad that I lost at Northwest Majors, because I was kind of starting to feel myself a little bit. I was starting to get a little prideful, and I was losing that humbleness. And I think that loss against Justin and Long definitely kind of knocked me back down and allowed me to reevaluate my gameplay, evaluate kind of where I am right now.
Cool. That's a good attitude. So you probably knew this question was coming, but I wanted to ask about the Trinity, how it came about. I mean, I know the community likes to talk about it. It's all over the place, every Wednesday night fights. Like, how did you guys become friends? Is it? I'm sure it's supportive, but is there some competitiveness there as well? Like,
oh, okay, I'm gonna get into that then. I'm definitely gonna talk about this right now. So the Trinity started with obviously it's myself, Julio Fuentes, and Brent Franks. We are the triple Ken players, and I've known Brent basically my whole life now. I met Brent when I was like 15, and we've just been training partners ever since. Julio's lived in NorCal all this time, and Julio and I in Street Fighter 4 had a very, very strong rivalry between each other. We were the young guns in our regions, and every time we played, it was back and forth, and you could feel that NorCal-SoCal rivalry. However, when Street Fighter 5 was coming out, okay, just to clarify, Julio and I are really, really good friends. Very good friends. The rivalry kind of ended as Street Fighter 4 ended, because we started hanging out more at tournaments. You go to tournaments, you hang out with your crew, but then you also meet new people and you start bringing them in, and you start becoming friends with everybody. And the more I grew friends with Julio and Brent, like we just started clicking better together, right? So we just thought about, why don't we just pull a Justin and Ricky for Street Fighter 4? What they did was they played Rufus, and two really, really godlike Street Fighter players with one character, 2 minds to one character, you can accomplish anything, right? So we were thinking, what about if we did 3 minds to one character, and that character is Ken? I was lucky enough that it was my character that I love, so that was pretty awesome. But it seems like the community is accepting the Trinity. Part of the community is accepting the Trinity. There's also a lot of hatred towards the Trinity. And
why do you think that is? Where does that come from?
Okay, how am I going to say this right now? Okay, let me talk about a topic that just came about recently, right? There's no coaching at EVO now. It's kind of funny to me that there's no coaching after Northwest Majors when when Ricky or FChamp kind of tweeted like, look, they have 2 coaches now, or they have 3 coaches. When I was playing Justin Wong and I was up 2-1 against Justin, Eduardo was sitting right next to Justin, and Ricky came up to Justin and started coaching him as well. 2 players, 2 EG members came up to Justin in the mid, like while I'm still like, and they coached him. I only had Brent on my side, right? And when I went up to coach Julio against Justin, or I think it was against FChamp, Brent and I actually switched. It wasn't like there was 2 players next to Julio. There was 1 player. We switched coaches. It's funny to me that nobody mentions anything about 3 EG members or 2 EG members coaching Justin. But then when the Ken players want to, coach each other, there's a big controversy. And because of tweets like that, or because of the phone call, right? Now we have banning at coaching. Like coaching is banned now at Evo. Are you serious? That's how big of an impact that we're having. That's how much people really don't want to see us do good, or people really don't want us to coach. I don't understand. Coaching has been around forever. Everybody has coached. Every professional athlete has a coach. I don't understand as to why, if you have something that you can tell your friend that he's not recognizing, like it's a game of chess. It's back and forth. I still don't understand as to why coaching is banned. That makes absolutely no sense to me. And it's just funny to me that nobody mentioned anything about Ricky and Eduardo being right next to Justin the entire time when I was up 2-1 against Justin at Northwest Majors. But the minute I go up and coach Julio, or the minute that I make a phone call to Julio, and let me explain the phone call. The phone call was because texting him, I felt like would not have gotten the job done. I felt like he wouldn't have understood what I was actually trying to explain by just texting him. However, when you talk to somebody, it's a lot easier to understand in a conversation than text message. Can you agree on that?
Yeah, for sure.
So I wanted to call. However, that kind of backfired because he couldn't really hear anything that I was saying. So he was like, dude, I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. What do I... So he just took it over from there. I was like, crap, I hope he figures it out. And he did. He figured it out himself, and he got the win. But everybody just sees the phone call. Everybody sees me going out of my way to coach, or me running up to Julio and coach. It just doesn't make sense to me. I just feel like it's just kind of childish at this point that they're making such a big deal out of coaching. Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's my views on it. I'm not trying to bash on Ricky or Eduardo or Champ or anybody, but it just, at this point, like, we're all good players in my opinion. I just look at it as they're threatened, and these guys are my friends too, So it's weird for me to look at that and see so much like downplay, or I'm not going to say hatred, but just negativity towards the whole coaching thing, or towards the whole Trinity thing. I just don't understand as to why it's coming from certain players that I would expect it not to come from. However, I'm not going to include Justin in that, because Justin's been cool about it the entire time. He's never really mentioned anything. But I mean, I saw some tweets at Northwest Majors that really kind of put a bad taste in my mouth about the people that I thought that I was cool with. And it sucks to say that, but I mean, well, how else am I going to feel about that situation? When I see 2 people coaching against me, but the minute that I go and coach my friend and Brent steps out of the picture, he's no longer in it. But now tweets are starting to come up like, dude, you guys were doing the same exact thing. You know what I mean? If not worse. But then you start getting to topic of like popularity, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to get into all of that. I don't have the time to get into all of that.
Cool.
I was just saying that it just didn't make any sense to me, and I still don't understand it. I hope that explained it well.
Yeah, sure. That was great. So speaking of Julio, I saw that he revealed his Echo Fox sponsorship. I believe his first sort of reveal was at Northwest Majors, or at least I hadn't seen it before then.
Yeah, it got announced at Northwest.
Are you being pursued by anyone? Is that something you want, or is that... Can you talk about that, or is that something that you're sort of exploring?
Okay, I definitely do want a sponsor. I would like one, as all players would. However, I'm going to say that there is something on the side right now that will be announced at DreamHack.
Ooh.
So I'm kind of excited for what's to come. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. It's a huge blessing that's come into my life, so I'm very thankful for it.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to hearing about that. So last couple of questions here. I wondered, get this question a lot. What kind of gear do you use? What stick do you use? Do you have like a gamer chair at home? Are you a Hori person or a Mad Catz guy?
I'm a Mad Catz guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout outs to Mark, man. He hooked it up so much back in the day. Like, he was one of the first people that believed in me as well. and Brent. He hooked it up with attire, with gear, with sticks. So ever since then, I just kind of got used to Mad Catz sticks and Mad Catz products. But I mean, I don't have a problem using Hori sticks. I don't have a problem using Razor sticks. I don't have a problem using any stick, except if it's a little small. I can't use that anymore.
All right. So, what do you think about the future of the FGC? You see League of Legends and Dota 2. They're reaching $20 million pots with the international.
Oh yeah,
Is that your hope? Do you want to see FGC
absolutely,
esports?
absolutely. I feel like my generation of Street Fighter 4 players came into the scene at the perfect time. Why? Because we kind of got a little taste of what the scene was like when there wasn't really that much money into it, and then just out of nowhere, money is starting to be poured into this game, and more companies are starting to pick it up. Like Julio just got sponsored by Echo Fox, Red Bull, Snake Eyes, Red Bull, Bonchan. Like there are legit companies now looking out for us because the advertisement is on point. There's a lot more people watching now. The scene is only getting larger, and I just hope that it continues to get larger. And I really think that it is. The way that it's headed, I think Capcom is doing a great job. Sony's doing a great job. Everybody's doing their part into making Street Fighter 5 the next big thing. And I don't see it going down. I really don't see it going down.
All right, so that's it on my end. Do you have any final shout outs you'd like to give before we break here?
The usual. I want to shout out my family, the brothers in my fraternity, Brent, Julio, Mark, all the guys from Wednesday Night Fights, Watson, Valle. Let me see who else I can shout out. My friends, my supporters, every tweet that I get from all the fans that say they love my kin. Thank you guys so much. That really means a lot to me and keeps me going. Shout outs to God as well. God has had a huge impact on my life, and all these blessings are all because of him. So I'm very thankful to have God on my side as well.
All right. Well, very cool. So good luck at DreamHack. I'm looking forward to hearing what the announcement is, and I hope you tear it up.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
We'll talk to you soon, Chris.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.